you ready? What's going on, guys? It's Tom over here at Renegade Racing and Performance. So, man, the S2000s just kind of disappeared since LS Fest or Street Car Takeover last year. Well, we ended up tearing it down. We wanted to make a lot of changes to this thing. One of the biggest changes is the tracks that we'd go to. It was pretty fast at that point, but we were getting thrown off of tracks because we didn't have a proper cage in this car. We only had a roll bar in it. So we completely gutted the car, decided while we were doing that, hey, we need to get an engine built for this thing so we can really go fast. It's got potential to do some dangerous stuff. And along with that, need to upgrade the transmission and everything else. So we got those two things going. And in the meantime, I had a buddy of mine, Johnny, who owns QBR Fabrication in Chattanooga, build a cage for this thing. Now the whole idea is we got to keep it stock chassis and have a 25.5 started cage in it so we can go 750s at least, and or faster, you know. But we had to have that done. We also wanted to clip the front end from some damage we had when we went in the cornfield.
Well, shit.
So he did every bit of that. And we got the front end clipped, whole front core support's gone. All our bars run behind the cage. Full 25.5 in here. It's got a halo to protect me when I'm driving this thing. And it's tubed all the way back. We also designed a anti-roll bar setup for this thing to help us track better. So this car is going to be completely different. I'm going to have to learn how to drive this thing, being that it's going to handle different. Now that the whole chassis is tied in, the anti-roll bar and everything, it's going to be a completely different car. We went ahead and dropped some weight, cut some things, more things out of it that we didn't need because we were adding weight. We wanted to still be around 2,800 pounds. We got this dart block now, and dart blocks, they weigh more than the actual standard block. So, you know, we're probably gonna, if I can stay at 3,000 pounds, I think this thing's gonna scoot. Jonathan Atkins at Tick Performance is building this engine, and it's quite remarkable. He's estimating 2,000 to 3,000 wheel horsepower out of this thing. So it's gonna be fast. We did a lot of transmission work. Tim Hollis at Tennessee Transmission built a Turbo 400 for this thing, and he went all out with it. So it's absolutely gonna be nuts. Now it's just time to put it together. So we still got to get a front windshield for this thing. I got a new screen, one of the bigger screens from my buddy Joel Steele at Stick Shift the World. So we're going to put that in here. Came out of the world's fastest Mustang. So we're going to put that in the car along with a couple other few upgrades, and then we're going to get this thing together. But right now it's time to build the engine, mount it to the trans, and stick it back to the car. Watch this. All right, guys. So this bad thing has arrived. Coolest, probably the most powerful thing that I've ever had built. Jonathan Atkins himself from Tick Performance built this. It is a fully built 427 solid roller. It's a Dart Pro Block, Trick Flow 245s, chamber softened, 1/2-inch head stud, top fuel hoops, billet crank, everything that you can possibly imagine has been done to this thing. So he says it's going to be really fast, and it's going to be crazy. So it's going in the S2000, and brand new fresh build. We're going to try and get this thing done before LS Fest. So this is the start of the LS Fest Crunch series on this thing. Matt's going to be putting this thing together while I'm at work during the day, and then we're going to work on it at night. I've got Shannon Taylor over here tuning a truck right now. He's going to lay this thing down whenever we get it together. So make sure you follow along on this. It's really going to make a lot of noise and be very, very powerful. Again, as I said, this is probably the most powerful engine I've ever had assembled in my entire life. So I'm definitely ready for it. I'm excited. I'm ready to see what this thing will do. So it's going to be massive. So anyways, continue to follow along. We're going to get it unloaded here in a second, and we're gonna get started on putting this thing together so we can put it in the car. As you see over there on the table, we got the transmission sitting on the table. Tim Hollis at Tennessee Transmission built this thing. It is absolutely ridiculous, a monster TH400. Everything in it's hardened, billet, the works. I mean, it's pretty powerful too. So we built it as a combo to go in this thing. Dusty at PTC built the converter for it. So here we go. Here's the start of the new S2000. All right, guys, so we're getting ready to assemble this thing. We got the S2000 over here. As you all know, we had a full 25.5 put in it, so we still got to put a front windshield in it. The top still does come up. We took out the wiper motors and all that stuff, so it makes it easy to move around. So it's certed for 750s now. It's still stock chassis car, it's still IRS, but it's tubed front to back. Everything's tied in. We have a custom built anti-roll bar for it now. And the front's been clipped, but it's also tied in. So if you look, all the rails go behind everything. So we're getting ready to put this thing back together and make some noise and really go fast. So we just got the engine. Matt's dad went to down there and picked it up from Tick Performance. This thing is beautiful. It's a dark 427, fully forged everything, solid roller, etc. So we're getting ready to go together with this thing. As we're putting it together, we're having to clearance a bunch of stuff. All right, so our pickup tube, it's on and it works and it just clears. However, our windage tray, we got it over here. We're having to cut it. As you see, we made like a little cut scribe line. So we're gonna cut that thing and clearance it to go past the pickup tube. So we have to make some adjustments to this thing. That's what we're working on right now. So we started trying to find parts for this too. We got the transmission done. It's ready to go. We're not using this torque converter. We got a new one. Where's it at? It's in a box somewhere on the floor over there. We got cathedral heads now, so we're gonna change the intake manifold. So our lowers right here that we had on before, we had square port heads on it. So we're changing that over. We're gonna make that happen. Still got our upper turbo valley plate. Look at this valley plate, it's beautiful. Got some Taco Bell right there. Billet, Tick Performance on it. Thing's wonderful. So we're still trying to locate parts, man. We took this thing apart last year, so we have no idea where everything's at. Found our engine mounts, found our oil pan, all that stuff. Trying to make it happen. This thing is nuts. Valve covers. It's 1/2-inch head stud. 6-bolt heads. It's ridiculous. So this is a dark Pro block that it's built out of. It was machined by TKM, trick flow heads. Just nuts. All right, so here's the hard part, guys. Everything on this engine that, you know, being that it's a dark block, even though it's LS based, it's different. And we're having to modify everything. So Matt is modifying the engine brackets. You know, we have to have a custom engine bracket to house an LS in the S2000. So he's modifying the brackets in order to fit on the block. Now we had to do some modification with the oil pan. So we had to cut the pickup tube down, adjust the windage tray. There had to be spacers and risers for it, and you know, to clear the crank, etc., etc. So then we had to measure the pickup tube to the down of the oil pan in order to get it set right. So I mean, we got a day in just putting the oil pan together. We're missing 2 bolts for it, so we got to get 2 bolts on the backside, but that's done. We changed out our gallery plugs so that our mounts will fit over it. Jonathan just put a regular hex head plug in it, but I took it out and I put some Allen plugs in it. We got those Loctited in. So a couple more things. Clarence went to go get us some bolts for the oil pan. And Tommy's over here trying to get this dampener off because the one that we got is the wrong spacing. That's my bad. I messed up on that. So we're gonna pull that off. We're gonna put the old balancer back on it. And then we can flip this thing over and keep on going.
So long, gay boys!